Three, two, one. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to 2022. This is our first live stream of the new year, and just wanted to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining in on YouTube and Twitch as well. And we have lots of good moderators out there to help kind of funnel the questions that you may have regarding today's topic. And today's topic is all about certifications and how you will get started on your journey, or maybe you've kind of got stalled out somehow, how you can kind of get over that. Joining me today, none other than my compadres, Lars, Klint.
Hello.
Yes.
How you doing, everybody? Yes. Thanks, Scott. This is good. This is my crowd. I like this.
Yeah, and and then also joining from the frigid north, Mattias Andersson.
Well, hello. I noticed you're not an average geography teacher there, Scott. Clearly above average geography teacher, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Oh, welcome. Glad to join everyone here today. And I saw that there were at least some Canadians joining us as well. So welcome, eh?
Yes, that's right.
I mean, welcome to everyone else too.
That's so rude.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be rude.
No.
No. So I haven't looked too closely. I got some people from Texas, from New York. We got lots of
Nigeria.
good.
Whee!
All right. Hooray. Yeah, welcome everybody. So
Sunny Jamaica.
I guess, ooh, that's where I need to be right now.
Sunny Australia.
Apologies a little bit. I'm getting over some illness here. But hopefully I'll be able to keep it together and power on. So kind of starting us off, we wanted to share a little bit about certifications. And one of the things that I think is really important regarding certifications is you kind of got to figure out, number one, are they worth it? And number two, what are your motivations? What do you hope to get out of certification? So we put together a few slides to maybe share at least what I've seen in the industry with regard to certifications in the past few years, and some things that I think may be beneficial for getting certifications. And I'm going to hand it off to Mattias and then Lars, or Lars and Mattias, and they're going to share some of their knowledge and experience. And as always, if you have questions, we are here to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is that why we're here?
Hang on.
Yes,
Let's not promise something we can't keep.
Oh man.
Okay, we'll give you half a guess, or at least a recommendation. But that's why we're here. And yeah, so just post those questions in chat. We'll try to answer them, and we'll try to get it through as many as we can. And if for some reason we don't get to your question, please post in the comments down below, and we'll be glad to follow up, especially on YouTube. On Twitch, I think there's comments there. I'm not sure. But barring all that, one of the things that we like to do, it's now become kind of a monthly tradition, is office hours on Discord. So if you're not part of the Discord community, the A Cloud Guru Discord community, do go out there and join. It doesn't cost anything to join, and we're not going to harass you or anything like that. But you will be eligible to drop into our office hours that we have. It's been once a month, usually towards the end of the month. And it's just kind of a free-form chat. And so if you have questions about certifications or anything like that, feel free to drop in. Obviously, ask them today here. But this isn't your only opportunity, so we want to be there for you. Okay.
I thought you were going to talk about our monthly scheduled something goes wrong in our live stream, but and you went with the Discord office hours. That's a good one too. So I don't know what's going to happen this time, but we'll have to see. That's what you
the stream is early. We I have lots of complexity going on around here. My poor little laptop is spinning at top speed, and we'll see what happens. So.
If you have suggestions for a disaster we should experience during this live stream, feel free to add them to the chat as well.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're open to suggestions.
All right. Okay. So, do certifications matter? Now, this is kind of maybe a controversial question. So, there is, the school of thought that says that Well, certifications really don't mean anything, right? They're just somebody's ability to take a test or an exam. Maybe, but let me offer another perspective. So in a recent 2021 open source jobs report, this is a survey of hiring managers. Hiring managers say, yes, they do matter. As a matter of fact, 88% of hiring managers say that certifications are important when they're evaluating resumes or CVs. And that's up from 57% in 2020 and 47% in 2018. Now, I can tell you as a former hiring manager that I went through probably hundreds of CVs and resumes. And if I'm trying to staff for a certain position that would benefit from a certification, that's one of my main criteria that I'm going to try to screen out. Now you can say, well, that doesn't make any sense, but I mean, some of these things are just reality. If you get hundreds and hundreds of resumes, you have to figure out some way to kind of screen through them. So speaking from my own personal experience and from the survey of hiring managers, certifications are important. Now, how can certifications help you? Well, in my opinion, there's a few different ways that certifications can help. For starters, it's really important that when you're learning something new, that you understand the language that's being used. Certifications are a good framework for learning that. And in the case of, for instance, a cloud certification, if you're going to go into a job interview and declare yourself a cloud professional, then you're going to want to know that language. And if you're starting from maybe outside the industry or something like that, that's a good way of kind of upskilling your language and the terms you use and so forth. Next, it is a measurable thing. You're not kind of certified or halfway certified. You're either certified or you're not. And for lack of a better kind of concept there, it gives you a goal line, a finish line that you can kind of direct your efforts towards. Next, certifications for the most part are validity. They at some point they kind of confirm that you know something about something, right? Now, of course, there's been talk all along about, well, it's, certification is just somebody who's good at taking the test. Yes, there is some of that too, because some certifications, there's tricks to it and stuff like that, and we cover those things in other live streams. But for the most part, if you say, I have this certification, then that kind of gives whoever you're talking to, maybe it's a hiring manager or somebody like that, kind of a baseline of knowledge. Okay, so you have that certification, well then I can expect a certain level of knowledge when we're conversing. Next, certifications can also introduce you into communities. Of course, here at ACG, we have the ACG community, we have the Discord server, we have the forums, we have all sorts of ways that you can kind of interact with fellow people that are on their certification journey, or maybe just starting, or maybe they've been certified for a while and they're just sharing what they've learned. And also, there are communities within the specific organization, certification bodies, like the AWS group. The Azure has certain communities that are set aside for certified individuals and so forth. And then finally, partnership. Now, a lot of people that become certified, maybe they go on to work for a consulting firm or a partner of the cloud vendor, for example. Well, cloud vendors usually have certain requirements of numbers of people to get certified that correlate to the tier of vendor level they are, the tier of partnership. So certifications for your organization can help you get a higher tier of partnership and maybe more business or more inside access to certain things. So those are some things that I think are beneficial regarding certifications. So, did we have any questions that came across? I was, of course, presenting, didn't get to take a look at the chat here.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the chat as well.
Hey, go ahead, Lars.
No, sorry, we're doing pretty well. Now, I just wanted to touch on the second to last point you said about community. Even though Scott sort of mentioned that that's like the fourth point or fifth, whatever it was, I still think that's super important. Like that is almost you start there, in my opinion. If you find like-minded people that can help you, and you can sort of, like, for lack of a better term, do something like study groups or like just sort of keep each other accountable in the community,
Yeah, totally.
because you both want the same thing. Both, like all of you want the same. How many there are, and it just gives you so much power, because you might have a day where you go, oh, I can't be bothered. Like today's like, oh, I just want to sit and play whatever X station or something, right? And you get that
X
community that goes,
station?
no, come on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm old. And Playbox, and they want you to go and they kind of tell you and get you out of your seat, right? So there's that part of it. There's also the part of, hey, I don't understand this, and there's so many people that might go, hey, I know that bit, and someone else knows that bit, and the community part of it becomes instrumental in your journey. So I think, even though Scott put that as like the fourth point, to me that is like, you've got to start there. Like, find people that are willing to help you, and there's a lot of people that want to help. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, one thing I'd add to that is that with a community that you can jump into, you don't have to wait for live streams like this one to get a lot of answers to your questions. Like, sure, we've been talking with a lot of people, and we've learned what a lot of the common questions are and ways that people can overcome them. But there are a ton of other people that have other experiences that we've never even seen ourselves, that can also give you their insight. And those people are available and happy to help. So the Discord is a great place to go. And the office hours are a great time then for people to be having conversations with each other. And it's like we're talking voice call, sort of a situation. But it's not just the three of us that are doing the answering. We're getting a lot of other people as well. So the community really is such a valuable thing. We do have some other questions coming in here. Do we want to grab some of them now, or should we take a look at this certification confusion thing? Lars, did you want to
No, I
jump
think
in? Or?
the one from Celadine, I think, is really good. I don't know. That seems like a Scott question to me.
Yes,
It's on
the
YouTube,
question,
sorry.
how do you suggest we position what we are learning or have gained via A Cloud Guru, for instance, in our CV, so I sell myself just right for potential entry-level or mid-level role?
Yep. Okay, so that's a very good question. Depending on the role that you're aspiring to or applying to, I've always found it useful to kind of custom tailor your CV or your resume to what position you're applying to. I think a lot of people will create a generic resume and they'll just kind of spray it out to see who bites. I think you're going to have better luck if you kind of exemplify those things, specifically if you have like course completion certificates or something like that, or certifications. I would lead with those. But please, by all means, don't just say, hey, I've got a certification, you should hire me, basically. You want to,
No.
you want to,
No. Yeah.
you want to complement that certification, say, hey, I earned this certification, but also here's my portfolio of stuff that I've built with my own hands, right? So I think a certification is an important kind of filter, but to really get those opportunities and those interview opportunities, I would always look for somebody who's actually done these things. And that's one of the things that we reiterate over and over again in a lot of our training is you got to get hands-on. You can't just take the test and then think you're done. And so that's one of the benefits I see with A Cloud Guru, is certainly the hands-on labs, and you can build these tangible things. Maybe you create your own GitHub repo, or you build your own portfolio website or resume website using the cloud provider that you're certified on, and use that as kind of a living portfolio that demonstrates what you're working on. So that would be my suggestion.
I definitely
Yes.
agree. I was just going to say, I think that the certifications are so valuable as a tool to guide your learning process. Not so much the, hey, look, I've got a piece of paper and I can, I don't know, wave it in someone's face. That just doesn't work, right? You have to have something of real, actual capability behind it for it to mean anything. And you can demonstrate that with what you've done. Now, if you don't have a job where you're getting the on-the-job experience in these tools, which to be honest, a lot of people won't have because that's why they're trying to learn these things. They're trying to get into a position where they can use them. One of the things someone was just asking on YouTube, Leslie was asking, is there a guide for a few good project ideas to complete to add to your resume for a junior cloud engineer role? And I was going to mention that we have the Cloud Resume Challenge and actually the cloud challenges that we run on a regular basis that that are excellent projects for you to take what you've learned, whether it's because you've gone through certifications to guide your learning, or whether whatever other type of learning, you can use these things to really put it into practice and have something of material, like concrete value at the end that you can then talk about and say, hey, look, I did this thing. This is how I connected it up. I understand these things. And to be honest, it's not just that you're demonstrating what you've learned by doing those things. You will actually learn a lot more as well by doing them, because though that hands-on is such an important thing. And if you're not ready to step up to an entire big thing like that, even just getting hands-on in the labs, it's much more time limited, but it's super valuable still. So you go search and take a look at what the labs are that you, oh, hey, you can connect up to a CI/CD system for this, or oh, I can make a static site with this thing, or whatever the thing might be, or making different networking stuff happen. You can, in a time boxed sort of a way, go and take that on, and then maybe you'll build other projects on it as well. But anyway, so those are some of the ideas there. Lars, were you wanting to add something else to that?
Probably, but I completely forgot.
Oh, that's sorry.
Yeah, and I was looking through the YouTube questions as well. I think a lot of these I can answer if we go through just that little bit about what certs are. Because there's a lot of questions about which certs and what does this cert do and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so
and about which
I can go through that bit if we want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
And then we can take those questions, because that's a good conversation starter as well.
Like it.
Yeah, because there's, someone's mentioning, hey, I've done AZ900, then what do I do next? This company says I have to have this cert, etc., etc. So, yeah. So Scott, you're controlling the slides still, I think. Yep. So go for that one. Now I'm hoping, because due to technical things, I can't actually see the slides. So let me just see here what comes up. Because I'm looking at YouTube, which is delayed. It's technical stuff. I don't understand most of it. It's all right. But when it comes to certifications, right, it's just, I do a lot of Azure stuff. Mattias does a lot of GCP stuff, and Scott does a lot of AWS stuff. So it's sort of like we have that sort of third each, although Mattias tends to go across multiple clouds because he's much cleverer than I am. But when you look at these certs, it's just a absolute soup of numbers and letters and levels, and it's to me, when I first started getting into the Azure stuff, it was like, well, hang, what? Because then you go, okay, AZ100, that's got to be the start. No, of course it's not, because Microsoft, right? So there's this sort of initial hurdle of going, where do I even start on these damn things, right? Because do I then do GCP, or do I do Azure, or do I do the AWS cert, or like which one of them is the right one? And then plug time, we created really handy guides, cert guides, because we didn't understand it either. So we made these for ourselves and we just sort of published it to you. It's kind of how they came about, because we were like, I can't remember what came with what, right? So the cert guide's on the next slide. So what we did is that we took all the Azure stuff and all the GCP stuff and all the AWS stuff and we put them into a guide each. So you kind of have to choose a cloud first. And I'm not going to tell you which cloud to choose. There might be, depending on the company you work in, it might be your personal preference. It might be you've done something with one of them already, but start with one of them. And there's a introductory course for each of those cloud. Of course, we've made a course for each, right? So for Azure, there's the AZ900. That's the introduction. Of course, it's 900. For Amazon, there's CCP, Certified Cloud Practitioner. Which is, I think Ryan's still doing that course, Ryan Kronenberg, the OG, or maybe I'm not
I think
sure,
Keisha
but
will.
our moderators can give you all the links and the details. And for Google, is it still called ACE for Google, Matthias?
Yeah, the associate cloud engineer is
Yeah.
it's yeah. So there's also the cloud digital leader certification, but a lot of people who are more technical will jump into the associate cloud engineer. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So those are really entry level. As in, so I can speak more about the Azure side because I did that course, but the intention with these courses is that, hey, we understand that you might not come from a cloud background, or you might have a different technology background than just purely cloud. And I get that. Cloud is just it's not so much a niche anymore, but it is not everything in IT, right? There's a lot of other fields that you can go into. So cloud is one of them. And if you come from somewhere else, either tech or non-tech background, hey, we get it. So I try in the AZ900 course and sort of make that relatable to things you already know. Right, so we really try and we make the best effort we can to understand where you're coming from and sort of guide you through that and make it an interesting journey. Right, we find cloud super interesting and exciting, so we want to pass that excitement on, and hopefully we succeed. So start there with one of those 3 courses, and then use the cert guides because there's many learning paths of what you would like to do. For example, you could do in Azure. And here's how confusing it is. Bear with me. So you do AZ 900, and then you might do AZ 104, AZ 500, AZ 700, and then AZ 305.
clearly,
Thank you, Microsoft. Oh God.
I'm sure you've all written those down as well, right?
It's just it irks me.
don't
But
have-
anyway.
You don't have to write it down because I think the next slide has a couple of graphics. These are the outlines. I guess eventually, Lars, you'll get to see them when your thing shows up. Yeah, hey, now I think you should be able to see it, Lars. But these are the guides that we did of like the different paths that lead to various roles. Take it away, Lars.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So one for each of the cert guides, right? And there's many learning paths that come for each of the clouds, right? So it's not just, hey, I'll do cloud computing. Of course, it's like, do you want to do data engineer stuff? Do you want to be in IoT? Do you want to do networking things? Do you want to do architecture? Like, there's all those paths, and I can't answer which one's right for you. Like, you got to figure that out. So there's that. But we provide that sort of hopefully good overview of what all those paths are, what we think you should do, because for Microsoft, for example, they sort of go, oh, just do these 2 courses and you're an expert, right? And we know that's not how it works, or these 2 certifications rather. So we sort of go, hey, you should probably do them in this order because of these reasons. So that's what those guides are that you see on the screen, or those paths rather. So
yeah.
So hopefully that sort of explains a little bit about the approach to certification.
Yeah, I think the key thing is that people, when they come to learn cloud, they're not interested in having a certification, right? Like the certification is not the end goal for pretty much anyone. They want a certification because they're trying to accomplish something in their lives,
Totally.
right? Whether they're trying to get chosen for a project and they want to show that they have the skills that it takes, or whether they're changing careers entirely, or whether they want to remove those blind spots, because even if they've been using cloud for 5 years or more, there are tons of blind spots that people have in their day-to-day usage. So those are exactly the reasons why we've put together these guides. So the 3 documents of like the different paths, if you want to link to those ones, just go to the YouTube videos or the Certification Success Hub that we have, where those 3 cloud-specific cert guides are, because that's where we cover those things. And you've got a link to those so you can see them in a little bit larger than postage stamp size on whatever this particular thing is. So yeah.
We got some good questions coming in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to read them out?
Let me tee up one for I don't know, either of you guys.
Sure.
Do all the AWS certifications need development experience? Well, how about we just open it up more generically? Do these certifications require development experience?
No. The short answer is no. They don't.
No.
Because so in like, if you think old school computing, and again, bear with me, there's sort of 2 sides. Now there's kind of 3, but let's say there's 2 sides. There's sort of the development side where you build software, and you have the websites you see in the front end, and the data processing systems and whatnot. And then there's sort of the IT administration, IT ops, sysadmin, whatever you want to call it, side, where it's all about making efficient virtual machines and networks and storage and authentication of things, and making it all run smooth so that it actually works for the developer, right? And there's always been a little bit of a battle between the two, because the IT ops goes, oh, the developer's broken again. And the developers go, oh, God, IT pro doesn't work again, right? So, but it's sort of, if you like networks and you like storage and you like managing data and all those sort of things, you don't really need a lot of development. You might need some script knowledge about how to batch things up and process things in scripts, but actual development, no. I think that's sort of the shortest answer I can say.
I would agree and disagree in some ways.
I know you would.
Well, I mean, that's what makes this fun, right? No, but I definitely agree with you that what a lot of people think of when they say development experience, it is definitely not what you need. You don't need to have a bunch of programming experience, writing applications, making whether web apps or mobile apps or back-end services. You don't need any of those things to be able to succeed with cloud stuff. But what you mentioned there, Lars, of scripting is, I think, a really important thing. And also, you were talking about DevOps, right? It's not just developers and operators, and
Not
there's
anymore.
a big wall in between, right? There's way more cooperation now, but not only cooperation between the roles, but between the skill sets and disciplines. So developers are needing to learn what's going on in the infrastructure. They need to understand that to some extent, which actually they can do because they're a higher level managed services. There's a lot less complication. They can be more involved and be more effective in that space. But the same thing goes for operations side of things. If they're not using tools like scripting or infrastructure as code, which is basically, again, like a sort of code that developing the template for infrastructure and knowing how to manage that getting put out there and turned into environments, and the flow of data through a CI/CD system, for example. Like all of those things are developee things, but not to scare you off. They're just things to be aware of, that it's valuable to pay attention to what makes things happen in software development. So it's not just things completely separate. I think that don't be scared off. First of all, go ahead and jump in anyway, but keep your eyes open and be open, willing, curious to explore some of the things like, oh, hey, this thing is doing something with Python. Instead of just like completely closing your eyes and copying the thing over, take a look at the script and say, well, what's it doing? Like, why is it doing this? Can I make any sense of this? And maybe look some of those things up. Ask questions on the Discord. All of those sorts of things, right? Like, I think that'll help you move forward because you'll understand it better. So.
Yep.
Some great questions.
Nice quick question
through.
to your nice quick answers to your question, Scott.
Yeah, sure. So let's see here. I want to do the sysops side, and as I find that interesting. Just struggling to figure out what the best pathway is for achieving that. I think that may be a case where those learning paths really come into play. If you've identified that you kind of like the sysops area, depending on your cloud preference of choice, then you can go out to the website and kind of identify that learning path, and it will take you, step by step through. It will at least give you a curriculum to follow. So that may be something worth looking into. Got more of a meta question here. Where do each of you see the cloud ecosystem going in the next 10 years? Maybe some thoughts on the outlook
10
of
years.
each. Yeah. Yeah. Let's put that to the side. Maybe we'll spend some time on that later because we don't want to get Mattias spun up on his prediction engine.
I wasn't going to say that, but anyway.
So somebody said, what resources are required? I'm paraphrasing here. What resources are required for these projects? Cost is sometimes a limiting factor for me. So what do we have that really doesn't cost anything to anybody?
All of it. No, that's not true. You'd be amazed how much you can do for nothing.
Yeah.
It's you can get really far. I know that wherever possible, we will create these projects with stuff you can use on free tiers, whatever cloud it is. So all the clouds have a free entry tier. I'm not 100% sure exactly with AWS and GCP again, but Azure has a free tier where there's things that are always free. So you get some credits you can use to test out services that aren't free, but there's also things that are always free. So you will not be sort of kicked off, right? And I'm assuming that's the same with AWS and GCP. Like they're all pretty competitive, so they tend to sort of offer similar things. And if we if we can't do the Mattias went, if we can't do the free tier, if we can't do the free tier stuff, at least we'll tell you, hey, there might be a cost associated with this, right? But the whole idea is that we will try and make the entry level as low as possible, unless at times we do stuff that is very niche or very specific or very advanced, and we say, oh, well, you need to spin up this resource, and then at the end of this sort of 1 hour video, they say, well, don't forget to spin it down again because it's going to cost you, $150 a month or whatever, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things to point out is that if you are on our platform doing labs or using the playground environment, there aren't costs associated with those because they're sandboxed. They're a safe space to test things out. So even if you forget to shut things down, that doesn't come back to you because it's all a part of that learning experience. That's a part of the membership. But if you're doing things on your own account as well, there's a lot of you can get really far these days with virtually no cost because of a lot of serverless services that you can take advantage of. So you can build static sites with API backends that are serverless, so event driven. When something happens, that's when it'll come to life and do some stuff using serverless databases, NoSQL databases, and they basically cost you almost nothing. The only thing that you'll probably get charged for in those cases is like the domain name or the DNS hosting, that sort of stuff. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity. It's hard to go into a whole ton of details. I think that we've had a few links come through with some of them here, but the Cloud Resume Challenge, like I mentioned, that's one of the things where you can definitely jump in and take a look because they generally don't cost a ton, and if they do cost something, we try to have some indication of what it might cost you before you dive in. And again, on the Discord, people will definitely be happy to share their. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe we can get our lovely moderators to put a link up to the previous live stream we did, where I tried my hand at an AWS lab. So these are one of the hands-on labs that we have on the platform, and it was pretty hilarious because I had never seen the lab. I didn't go and cheat and practice beforehand. I was completely blind
definitely
going
not.
into it.
No, I don't think anyone would accuse you of that, Lars.
So that was also it's an example of the community thing because I'm like, I don't even know what's happening here, and then Mattias and Scott were like, oh, maybe you try and click on this button over here, or have you considered doing this thing, right? So. Trying to guide me through it. So that was a kind of fun experience. So anyway, we can maybe link to that.
A lot of people, when they watch that. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
There are tons of good questions coming through. I want to try to be respectful and answer as many, quick answers, as many as we can. Also, regarding the cost thing, if only there were some free courses that ACG offered. Well, yeah, we do.
That would be nice.
Guess what? Oh. We do. We have, if you sign up for a free tier on the platform, you get access to, some courses are just always free and you can go through there. But on a monthly basis, we also offer a rotating selection of courses. So, if you time things right, I mean, you can get all that training and then, turn around and put it to good use on, a cloud provider. And, if all the things align properly, you could theoretically probably get a certification totally free of charge that included the ACG training as well. And
it's genuinely free, by the way. We're not just trying to, make you go and sign up. There's no credit card, nothing. It's genuinely free. So just
just to be clear, there are different types of free things. So the free plan, you scroll down a little bit further, and it's like no credit card required. And you get access to certain free courses. But if you want the everything included, so you get the full experience, all the courses and everything, then that's the free trial, which does require a credit card. But so anyway, that's how it works.
Woohoo, marketing!
Yeah. We're just trying to give you all the information, and then you can make the right decisions of how you want to proceed with your learning journey. That's really what we're trying to get at. So
let's do the questions. Come on, Scott.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to try to stick to the certification related question. We got a lot of great questions here. What's a typical day in the life of a cloud support engineer and a cloud software developer?
Ooh,
So we have so you want to be a cloud developer, which I think is a
There you
great thing that we can link. I know we're keeping Mel and the others on their toes at the moment with all of our links that we're making references to. Great job, all of you all. Props to our moderators. But anyway, yeah. So so you want to be a cloud developer is definitely one of them. Support engineer, I think, is another. It's a slightly different. I don't think we've got one of the videos on that one
No,
yet.
that might come in season 2.
There you go. Lars has promised right here, right now. You didn't hear the word might. It's a no. Honestly, that is an interesting thing to take a look into. Did you want to give people a sneak peek of what might be in that, Lars?
Yeah, sure. So support engineer for cloud, it can be so many things, right? I'm not sure exactly what whoever asked the question has, maybe a job kind of an idea of what the job would be, but is it answering tickets? Is it fixing things? Is it a DevOps role? Is it a software management lifecycle kind of role? There's a lot of those sort of that falls in under cloud support engineer, and I still think that most of that comes in Azure in what is the I can't remember, the developer associate, 204, and then 104, which is the system administrator associate, whatever that's called. They keep changing the names on these things. But those two, it's a combination of. There's also a specific DevOps course on each of the platforms, I believe. But those tend to be much more expert level. Like they're really in-depth courses, the DevOps ones. So in terms of certification, I would probably start there. Is it 104, 204? Get some developer knowledge, get some sysadmin knowledge around batching and how, like Mattias said, what does this Python script do? Like what does it try and read those things. But we don't have a particular thing on support engineer that I can think of. But anyway, our moderators might have something they can link to. I'm not sure.
All right, next question. A friend of mine is an embedded software engineer and she wants to go into the cloud, but she only codes C and C++. Is this kind of a career migration possible?
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
In fact, it might not mean that this person is writing C or C++ code for the cloud. They might, but having a background in software development, that programming language, all of what she understands about programming, software development translates definitely. And so it's entirely possible that she could use C, C++. It's definitely possible to write apps in the cloud that are running that as well. But it's also that the skill set, understanding of like programming paradigms that she can then leverage with all of the other things that she learns. So I would definitely recommend that she jump in to our cert guides, take a look at the developer paths, and start going and learning. That'd be awesome.
So something else I'll also mention is, I think a lot of people maybe are interested in mid-career transition or mid-career change. I've spoken to many people who maybe they've had a first career in the military, for example, and they retire after 20 years. And they're like, hey, I got more stuff I want to do. I talked to a gentleman last year who was exactly in that situation. And he started from the very beginning, the cloud certifications, and eventually made it up. He got enough credentials and experience where he got hired as a cloud support engineer. And he was loving it. So, I think sometimes we say, one of the things that aggravates me the most is that, the whole learn to code type thing, that was supposed to be derogatory or something like that. People can change careers. Absolutely. They can retrain. I see people that do that all the time. There are people that stop by our Discord and, they're mid-career transitioning into the cloud or something like that. So if that is you, or if you are kind of at the end of your first career and you're saying, hey, I want to give this cloud thing a spin, do it. Yeah, absolutely do it. And you're not going to feel like you're too old or you're out of place or anything like that. There are tons of people in your same situation that are kind of going through that. And I think that's one of the things that makes some of our training very effective is because we use some ways that kind of adults learn differently. So we have a whole kind of process, and an andragogy is what it's called, the science of adult learning, of how we can more effectively and more efficiently be able to use that knowledge and information that maybe you're coming from a different industry or a different situation, and map that over and draw those parallels. So anybody can put out a training video, but it takes some work to be sure that that's the most efficient and effective way to spend your time, and it's going to get you the results you want.
Definitely. One thing I wanted to add about that mid-career changers is that there's often a lot of self-doubt around that. There's a lot of concern that I won't be able to do it, and that I don't have the same level of technical depth that other people, imagined people, have in those circumstances. And I'd like to talk to those people and say that actually, so sure, you might have the same technical depth, so might be at a slight disadvantage in that way. However, one of the advantages of not having all of that technical depth and all of that experience is that you don't have to unlearn nearly as many things as you do if you are so entrenched in things. One of the biggest blockers I've found to people's own success is their stubbornness to move past what used to work, because it doesn't continue to work when all the tools and the world around it is changing. So the core skill in technology, I say this frequently, the core skill in all of technology is your ability to learn. Not the skill that you've got, not the specific hands-on, I do this thing. It's your ability to jump into a situation, understand what's needed for that situation, and then overcome that. And that the skills that you need to do that changes on a year-by-year basis. So being able to jump in and learn, having the curiosity, having the open-mindedness, those are real benefits. So if you're taking a look at, well, why is it done this way? You can ask with sort of a I want to learn perspective, rather than that's not the way I've done it before. That's not the way we do things here, because that can really be a blocker to people's own success. So anyway, I hope that encourages someone.
Very good.
More questions?
So we had somebody ask, to become a cloud engineer, do you need to know all three clouds, or is it good enough to just pick one?
Well, I only know one. I'll freely admit that.
So you clearly can't be a cloud engineer at all. Like
no, that's right.
Yeah, no.
No, you can. I started out using AWS. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. I was thinking last time we did live stream. I started out with Azure when it was brand new. Like, it's if there's any old Azure people in here, it's before it was the Azure we know today. It was all written in Silverlight. Woohoo! And yeah, no. So I've been part of the Azure crowd for like 12 years now, or something. And I've been very happy. There's been lots of opportunities, like lots and lots of opportunities. But coming back to points we made before, it's like you're sort of master of your own destiny, right? It's if you're really passionate about it and you find it really interesting and you really want to learn it, and you start going, oh, I want to build this other thing. Hey, you're gonna get people noticing. And when you then apply for jobs, or you might even get, someone on Twitter you talk to, or someone on Discord, and they go, hey, it seems like you're really good at the thing. Have you considered the other thing, right? It starts sort of growing. It's an organic thing. No one's going to come and say, hey, you look like you need a job. Here's one. You have to kind of create it yourself. And this is sort of why we're here, to sort of encourage you going, hey, just do the other thing. Press that button too. Right, so that's the best encouragement I can give. But no, you definitely don't need to learn all three clouds. Like, one has been perfectly enough for me.
And that ties totally into another question we got a bunch earlier here, does it matter which cloud platform I start with? So I think that this is all tied together, right? So take a step back. What are you trying to achieve is really what we want you to have the mindset of. That's why we're talking about certifications, not because the certifications matter, but because what you're able to do matters. So if you are working in an organization that is using Azure a whole bunch, and you're trying to figure out how can you get promoted in that organization, you want to be successful on the project in that organization, It's pretty clear you should learn Azure, right? Like that's the really relevant skill set for you. Could you get benefit from learning the other ones first or in addition? Sure, I definitely think you can.
Sure.
Often when you learn multiple things, you learn the other one better because you see them in a different light. You see what's a strength about that other one or a drawback of the other one, and then you know how to work around it potentially. Or maybe in some cases you can anticipate what might be coming from that cloud vendor just down the road because they're trying to compete. So all of those things sort of play in, but take a look at what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to build on a particular cloud, then learn that one first. If you're not already decided on which cloud, then I think that taking a step back and saying, well, which one would interest you is a valuable thing to do. So taking a look at jobs that you might want to be applying for, if that's what you're trying to do, or taking a look at some of the projects you might want to do or build, if that's the way you want to go forward. Or if you're just interested to learn more about the clouds, then I'm going to mention another thing that we've done. We have the cloud comparisons series that you can also take a look through to get a sense for how all the clouds compare. So shout out to Angela and Mel and Carlos because they're all doing an awesome job keeping up.
There's a lot of typing going on.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions.
I can see an Azure question.
Awesome.
And I'm drawn to the Azure question. No, just the Ibrahim is asking. He's already got the Azure administrator. Should he do 204 before he does the architecture? So this is another question of, what do I want to achieve this particular certification? What's the journey? And again, the learning paths for the cert guides are super helpful. For this specific question, I would definitely not do 305 after 104, which is the architect one after the sysadmin one certifications. It's just the difference is just too great. And you won't do yourself any favors. Yeah, you might pass, you might get a tick in the box saying, "Hey, I'm an Azure Solution Architect," but you not actually have a lot of the knowledge that comes with it. So check out the learning paths as well. It's in your own best interest, to be honest. You do not want to land a job where they think you can do 100 things and you can do 3, right? It's just that's going to look bad for everybody. So. And also just for your own personal development. Like, seriously, why would you not want to learn about all of the other things that are part of a solution architect role? So, and that could be watching So You Want to Be a Solution Architect, or Cloud Architect, I think we called it, show as well. So that was a specific one. Anyone else, Scott, you've come across, or Mattias?
You want to grab one, Scott?
Yeah, let's see, hold on just a second. Somebody was asking about what about roles where the employer uses a mixture of multiple cloud platforms?
Multi-cloud.
Yes. So
multi-cloud.
So I have been on record, and I'll restate it here. Intentionally going multi-cloud has more drawbacks than I think it brings advantages. That's my own personal experience and opinion there. But the reality is there are many companies that find themselves in that space, maybe through acquisition or merger, or maybe they had a decentralized information technology group that is now trying to centralize and bring multiple flavors of the cloud in there. So those things do happen. And yes, if you find yourself in those situations, actually, learning those other clouds is not such a far reach. If you already know AWS pretty well, then learning some Azure to become at least bilingual at it isn't going to be that difficult. But like Mattias said, we have a series of cloud comparisons where we try to show, it's almost tries to be like a Rosetta Stone for the different clouds. Whereas, if AWS calls this thing one thing, then Azure calls it this, and GCP calls it that. So that may be a good way to get started in the multi-cloud. Plus, we also have a multi-cloud challenge that we put together last year, where I'm challenging you to build a image recognition application using no less than 3 different clouds. that challenge is still going. It's evergreen, so you can go out there and um, sign up for it and start doing it. And then when you think you have a working prototype, create a blog and hit me up on social media, and I'll be glad to endorse you on LinkedIn for your multi-cloud prowess. So, all right, what other questions do we have?
Can I address? There's a bunch of questions
Please
on
do.
cloud architect or variation thereof. How do I become cloud architect? What's the right path to cloud architect? And also looking at the the stats of our shows, the cloud architect, they're called slightly different things, but so you want to be a cloud architect, and things we have around cloud architect are very, very popular. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that because the cloud architect is seen as like the end goal, that's like the highest thing you can get to in terms of cloud, it becomes very popular. And it's like you aspire to it. And I get that. I appreciate a very ambitious and well thought out goal as much as the next person. But then it comes in terms of cloud roles, don't just assume that because the cloud architect is always the expert level or the level 3 certificate or the whatever, that is where you need to be. That's not necessarily always the best role for everybody. I just sort of want to knock that on the head, because if you're really, really passionate about DevOps, why would you go and try and be a cloud architect, right? And also the other part of it is that cloud architects are often either sysadmin or developers that have sort of got a lot of experience. They've grown through a role or a career progression over, say, a decade. So it's not something that we can achieve with certification. It's not that you go and go, oh, I've done this and now I do this, and then I passed my cloud architect role certification in X cloud or whatever, and now I can do that. It doesn't work that way. The solution architect certifications on various platforms means that you have proven a skill set within that cloud. It doesn't mean you have actual experience of how to use that and how that works in the real world, right? There's two sides to it. So I'm not saying don't go for it. I'm just saying it's not the only good way to do cloud. So I don't want to discourage people that want it as a goal, but I also want to make sure that you don't just see that as the only thing you can achieve and you must achieve. So there's two sides to it.
I definitely agree that shouldn't, especially for like a career changer, for example, who has seen, oh, hey, wait a minute, this certification pays well, or something like that. There's
Correct.
so much complication in those, so many assumptions in that. But I think the key thing to understand is that adding these skills to your skill set is a valuable thing to do, but you fundamentally need to be suited for some complete role, some job that you can actually do. And cloud architect is never really the entry level role. So you're gonna, like Lars was saying, people start out as a developer or a sysadmin, or they might wind up being, SRE or DevOps or security or some other thing that's related. But having the architecture ability, understanding how systems are architected, I think is such a critical, valuable thing to have for almost everyone, which is why I think it's so important for people to go through the Solutions Architect Associate in AWS, for example, to get that level of understanding before just jumping into all of the narrower scoped things. Because then you can draw on that skill set in all sorts of other circumstances, and you're way more capable. It's like the T-shaped skills that I don't know if you've heard about those before, but the idea is that you need breadth and depth to be really effective in circumstances. If you only have a narrow slice of skills, but you can't connect to the people that you're working with, you can't understand what they're trying to accomplish, you're going to be doing things that are wrong in your narrow scope because you don't have that breadth to add to it. So
I'm an example of that, by the way. The T-shaped thing as an example. So I'm a developer. I do software development. I've been programming for 20 years. It's what I love. I build little things all the time, for various things, whether it's for work or not. And then I've been trying for now over a year to pass AZ-104, which is the system administrator side of things. So in Azure, I know how to create a VM. I understand what virtual networks are. I understand how to bind it all together. I understand a bunch of things about peering of networks and storage and all that. But for the life of me, I cannot pass that damn exam. Well, I tried 3 times so far, and I still fail it. So I'm going to keep going until I pass it. My point is that just because you don't pass an exam as well, it doesn't mean you don't have skills in it, right? It means that your skills get better and better and better. And like the last one, I was 10 points off passing. It's like, ah! But anyway, but I pass anything developer all the time. I just recertified again. And I don't find that hard at all because I've always been doing it. So the T-shape, like Mattias was saying, I'm a developer, yet I do need to know about the VM side and the network side and all that. I just sat, like in the last 10 days, I sat 3 exams. And they were sort of at a back way, people going, hey, would you like to sit it for free? So I went, yes, of course I will. No idea about it. One was hybrid stuff on Azure. No idea. Those 2 exams of those. And then I did the Cosmos DB exam, which is, a specific type of database on Azure, which is very developer focused. I'm like, oh, this is not too bad. So I don't know if I passed. I don't get the results yet. But point is, go for it, right? Make sure you learn a little bit about all the things, and then you get, as Mattias said, really deep in one thing, because it's really important that you're passionate about what you're doing.
So we always love to hear about people who have gone through this, training and things have worked out. Jack says, "Hey guys, with your help, I landed my first technical role as a TAM. Thanks."
Yay! Go Jack. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many great questions. Our time's kind of running short here, so maybe we'll just pick maybe one or two more. One or two more. I will say, all these are great questions. They're really good questions. See if we didn't answer it here, be sure you sign up for our Discord and drop into office hours, or you don't have to wait for office hours. You can drop in and just post a question. We have a lot of great community members on there that'll help you out and provide you their experience. And that's one of the things that really warms my heart is stepping into those office hours. And we have basically regulars that show up, and they're willing to share their stories and experiences. And it's a very casual kind of chat. It's not intimidating at all, and they're very welcoming. And I think you'll feel right at home. So, all right, let's see. How about this one? How important is it to strengthen networking skills and knowledge to aspire to a role in the cloud? Do you need to be an expert in networking?
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, I would say no. Networking comes up in certain circumstances. Go ahead, Lars.
No. I think I'm going to say the same as you. It's a really important thing to know about. But again, I did the Azure networking exam, and I didn't do well. It was probably the hardest exam I've ever done. So yeah, no, you don't. It's the short answer.
There are definitely some circumstances where the networking part of things is huge, but in a lot of cases, the services that we're using these days treat networking quite differently than they used to. So the old style of networking isn't always as relevant to sort of newer cloud native architectures. Sure. Yeah, you don't need a lot of networking to use a platform as a service sort of stuff. Is what you're getting at. Depends on the one, but yeah.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of services on the cloud are PaaS, like platform as a service, which means all the gunky hardware stuff. Well, not that you ever get to touch hardware, but the storage and the networking and the servers, they're all abstracted from you, right? So you don't get to see that. You just use the service for what you need it, such as Azure DevOps or something.
I will say one thing, one bit of networking knowledge has served me really well over my career, and that is the OSI model. Knowing the layers of the OSI model and how they interact, and it really helps troubleshooting. And that same stuff applies to the cloud as well. Somebody has a comment here. One thing I found recently is that by being 100% transparent about my current experience and knowledge, and admitting I'm just starting in the cloud, I've actually had more offers than
Totally.
colleagues who try to big themselves up.
That's what we do as well. I'm very open about, hey, I don't pass every exam I sit, and I'm totally fine with that, because we don't. Like, that's just part of life. But you learn something new every time you do it. And that's the same with, I think, all our training. We try and give you the actual what's happening. We're not trying to just sell you training, right? Of course, we got to make a living, so that's part of it. But we actually want to help. We actually do want to help. So, yeah.
Well,
I
mean,
that's
why we
the
sell the
approach we
training too,
take.
right? It's because it literally does help.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I think this actually ties in as well to the learning mindset, right? That it's not about all of the things that you know and get hired into a role as if you could then know all of their processes, all of their systems, all of the tools they use, all of the technologies, and all of the problem solving in advance. It's not a reasonable perspective for either a person coming into a role or a hiring manager in trying to fill a role. There has to be some amount of learning that's going to happen in that circumstance. And so I am really interested when I'm looking at people to hire. What are they bringing in the way of their learning ability, their drive to jump into things? Do they have curiosity? Can they show that? Can they show me some of the things that they've been learning, not because it's specifically relevant, but because that approach is so important. So yeah, I definitely think that that's a key thing. Oh, before I forget, I also wanted to shout out that Sam and Steve are two more people that are helping to run this whole stream, because there are a lot of people that have been involved in this. So
Yeah.
Sam is running the show video-wise, doing all the switching and all that, and Steve's another moderator helping us out on Twitch especially. And yeah, anyway, thanks for all of the work that they're doing. Boy, there are a bunch of questions. I don't know. Do we have time for one more, or do we wrap it up? I mean, just one more.
Just one more. Just one more.
Oh, someone asked, what's OSI? So the OSI is the model for understanding networking as an open systems interconnection, but also it's called the ISO model, the International Standards Organization, because they took that and said, this is the standard way of dealing with networks. But anyway, take a look, Google it, and learn something, even if you only take 5 minutes. And that's actually another, maybe this is my final answer here. The people have asked, how do I go about learning stuff? And I think that the important thing is to continue that mindset and make it a discipline. So every day, can you learn something? Can you open up some thing that helps you learn, whether it's a blog post, whether it's going through another lesson, whether it's answering a practice question, something that helps you think about this new stuff and helps you learn a bit. If you continue making progress, then you will see how far you've gotten. But it's a whole bunch of continued progress that adds up. It's not just all of a sudden one day, poof, you've I don't know, discovered the magic I'm an expert now sort of switch. So hopefully that's helpful to someone. Scott,
Absolutely.
Lars, last words.
No, it's there's a comment here saying, "Hey, thanks for being so transparent. I assume you knew more than you did." Yep, that's it. Like we, no one knows everything, right? It's you can be passionate about things and you can try and make the best effort, and you learn as you go, and you find the answers you don't know, the answers to the questions you don't know. So that's the effort, right? And that's why we put ourselves out here. That's why we love doing this job. We like helping people, even if we don't have all the answers.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us, especially if you have a New Year's resolution of getting a certification or two this year. Hopefully this live stream has been useful. And we're going to try to go back and try to catch some of the questions that maybe we didn't answer live. We'll try to do that in the comments below. And of course, feel free to share this video. It'll be archived out on YouTube and available in the future. If you have a colleague that's trying to figure out, hey, how do I get started? I'm in that mid-career kind of mode. Where do I go? So definitely share this, and again, drop by Discord. Sign up for a free tier. Sign up for a free trial, as Mattias mentioned. There's a lot of different ways of getting started. So thank you for joining us. And for Lars and Mattias, we will catch you next live stream. Take care, everybody, and keep being awesome, cloud gurus.
See you guys.
Keep being awesome,
boys.